Welcome to HPDO Online. We're about to talk about an important topic, data literacy. My guest today is Audrey Coutinho. She's the Global Chief Data Officer of Elsevier. Welcome, Audrey. What is Elsevier's vision on data and data literacy?
Thank you, Erik, and I'm happy to share that. Our vision is to build and foster a data culture by bringing our employees on the journey to become confident using data. If they are confident, then they'll ask the right questions, interpret the findings, and make more informed decisions. So that is very much our vision.
Thank you for sharing Elsevier's vision on data and data literacy. Please allow me to ask a couple of questions more on this exciting and important topic. If I was employed by Elsevier, why would I join your data literacy program?
It's a very good question, actually, and it is an important question. Everyone wants to know what's in it for me before you invest your time and energy. Experts say organizations that are data-driven are more likely to acquire customers, retain them, and be profitable. And I think some go so far as to say it'll become an explicit and necessary driver for business value. And you can understand why. If people are comfortable using data, then they're able to apply that in their jobs and drive the right decisions. I think Gartner goes so far as to say by 2013, data literacy will become a key component of many of the corporate postings. So from an individual point of view, it doesn't only equip them to do their current jobs effectively, but it prepares them for a future in a digital economy. And for organizations, of course, their profitability, growth, and success depends on being data-driven.
Please tell me more about the data literacy roadmap you developed for Elsevier.
Sure, happy to. We spent the first few months, at least, of last year basically creating awareness on data literacy. As you'd appreciate, it's a relatively new concept. People are using it a lot. So when you start using those terms, people want to know what does that mean. So we spent a lot of time during our town halls and lunch and learn sessions, and when we were talking about other data programs, slowly introducing people to the concept of data literacy to make them comfortable with the subject. Following that, we set up a data literacy forum where we invited some senior leaders from business and functional areas to be part of this decision-making body. And there were a few reasons for it. One is we wanted to get buy-in and their support for the program because they all have large teams. Then the second thing, we wanted the input and what should we focus on, what the priorities should be and what the outcomes we should be driving. So that was a key part of it. Secondly, mid last year, we did a diagnostic assessment. This was basically to get a baseline on where we were in terms of our current maturity levels. So we had a pilot program. We had about 250 people who signed up to it, who completed the program and then contributed a lot in terms of survey feedback on what they liked, what the initial thoughts were. So all of that was really useful information for us to shape then a competency framework for the various levels of data literacy. Since then, we've of course now going to launch, actually we had a soft launch, we're going to have a full launch of a e-learning journey. This allows the individual to actually learn at their own pace and to first assess themselves against the competencies to see where they're at in terms of their maturity in literacy. And based on the assessment, then they get a whole lot of learning, curated content learning material that they can start to access and engage. And we have about 12 hours of content for each of those personas, the two key personas. So people do that work and learn. And our recommendation is this one to roll out first for the people who are more novices and apprentices and are just not 100% confident using the data. So to build their confidence and to make sure they're okay. And we are recommending they do it over 3 months so they can use some of their learning in their day-to-day jobs.
Well, that sounds like a very exciting journey for you to lead. Can you tell a little bit more about, if any, there was an impact of the current pandemic on your roadmap and on how you're structuring this whole program of yours?
I think that both positive and some small challenges, but nothing too dramatic. But in the terms of positive, people now at home and they're understanding the world is evolving a lot and learning online and engaging online for long hours has become a bit of more practice, so it's less burdensome in that sense. And a lot of them want to know now, how do I actually digest the data I get on the illness? If you see a lot of information on COVID, so we're tying up some of our use cases and some of our, what do you call it, role play situations to the current pandemic. How do you interpret the data? When do you know what is relevant and not relevant? So we are feeding that data into the learning journey. We tested this out with a working group who are actually our, what do you call it, our sounding board to make sure the content is relevant. And a lot of them thought it was quite interesting. So I think people are more interested in learning now online and more comfortable because, as you know, universities are learning remotely and everyone's getting used to the concept of that. So I think that's okay. The only challenge has been in completing the module and getting feedback on time, where you would have big workshops to get all the input at one time. Now you have to do it more sequentially, speaking to many different groups. But it's not a big block, actually. It's been quite good.
Also, how do you measure success?
We're very early stages of this, but this is a key question every business needs to answer. Any initiative you focus on, you want to say, how do we measure success and how do we know whether we reach there? So we're doing two things here. One is during the course, we're trying to assess how well we're doing and how well the learner is experiencing the journey. Then after the course, what kind of behaviors we are sort of embedding in the organization. So during the course, what we want to do is learners' reaction to the material. Do they like it? Do they like the learning journey that's been created? So here we're looking at usage metrics, how much time they spend on it, engagement metrics, because we're launching this as cohorts and individual groups. So they get to share knowledge with their other cohort participants, comment on the chat line and so on, so we can see how well they engage, but also how they rate the course content that has been developed. And then we go to the second phase of the assessment during the learning. This is where we want to know what knowledge they've acquired. As a result, here we bring their managers on board along with them. So we do check-in calls to see how relevant is the content we've shared, what have you learned. But also we have designed quizzes and little games in the program. So as they complete a learning, they sort of need to go and answer some questions and do that. So that gives us a good assessment to see whether they've learned anything and they're applying that. And of course, in the end, we also get some survey results. So post the course, when they complete it, what we want to know is, has the behavior changed? Are they more confident using data? Are they actually using the skills they've learned on their own? And here we're asking the managers to set objectives that allows them to use the skills they've gained and to actually measure their success against those objectives. Of course, long term, maybe in 2 years' time, we'll be in a better position to assess whether all of this has had an impact on the global organization. For that, you need a lot more data and a lot more time. But that's how we are looking at measuring success.
Thank you, Audrey, for sharing your insights, and thank you for watching us.